As members of the Global Farmer Network,
We believe agriculture is part of the solution.
not part of the problem.
We are committed to developing agricultural leaders
and sharing their stories across the globe.
We have one purpose:
to amplify the farmer's voice.
My voice.
Mi voz.
La mia voce.
My voice.
Welcome to Global Farmer Voices, a podcast by the Global Farmer Network where we invite farmers from around the world to share their stories and perspectives. Hello, I'm Delaney Howell, host for this podcast series, and we're thrilled to continue the celebration of our 25th anniversary, a milestone year for the Global Farmer Network. Each month, we continue to highlight some great themes, showcasing how our members have shown up over the last 25 years. This July, we're celebrating 25 years of collaboration and knowledge, shining a light on how our farmers are partnering across borders and industries to advocate for the future of agriculture. Today, we're joined by Bill Couser in central Iowa in the United States. Bill is a leading voice in agriculture advocacy through livestock, row crops, and more. With a career spanning nearly 60 years, Bill's journey into agriculture began when he witnessed his neighbor's passion for livestock and integrity on the farm. Over the years, Bill has built more than just a feedlot. He has transformed his local community by creating an ethanol plant, helping shape agricultural policies, and mentoring the next generation of land and animal stewards. As Bill has transitioned into a mentorship role, he is steady in his work through the Global Farmer Network, bringing farmers together from across the globe to share ideas, drive change, and continue the good fight in advocating for agriculture. Join us as we dive more into Bill's story, one of leadership, legacy, and the power of saying yes.
My dad was never a cattleman, but my first calf named Tony in 4-H, I guess that's what got me started. And then as you grow into the industry and meet the people that are in your industry, to me, that's what was my big drawing card was after you learn that a cattleman doesn't use an ink pen, his handshake is his bond. And to be around that kind of people your whole life is just an inspiration to anyone. Where my feedlot is today, his name was Elmer Paul. And he had a barn burned down, and I rode my pony over and watched the big barn door fall in. And the next thing I know, at the age of 12, we're running cattle away from a burning barn. When I saw a grown man cry because we couldn't get a few out of the barn, I knew then that that's kind of the industry I wanted to be in. His passion for the livestock, his passion for the industry, just the way he took care of his animals. It just made a true impression to me. He's the one that kind of mentored me in the cattle industry, and as he became up to retirement age, and I had finished college and went over, and at that time, he had enough room to hold about 200 head of cattle. We worked out a deal, and I purchased it. I wasn't married yet, and today we've expanded the feed yard to permitted for 5,200. So he kind of gave me the inspiration to get started. He coached me through the first few years, and I had a lot of support from my mom and dad, too.
Bill's story began in the feedlot, where he built it with grit, vision, and a whole lot of heart. As his career was taking shape, something else was about to change the course of his life. And that was the night he met his wife, Nancy.
I was probably in my mid to upper 20s and too busy to date, you might say. And it was my brother's birthday. I'll never forget this. April 3rd, 1980, and I didn't have time to buy him a gift. And so I went out and bought him a card and gave it to him. I was busy planting corn, and I said, I'll take you out tonight and wherever you want to go. We ended up at this cowboy establishment that had a very large dance floor, and I tended to fall asleep at the table. All of a sudden, he brings this young lady over and says, sit down with my brother here. I'll go get us another beer. And it's kind of strange how things happen, but that was my girl. And that's been a lot of years ago now. And she's been through thick and thin with me as we've grown this thing and ventured into the industry and raised a family. And to be able to raise a family in the agriculture industry is truly a blessing, because I can truly say I've never had a job. but I got to raise my kids in my job. When they weren't in school, they were by our side or in the tractor. It's just a joy, just a true joy.
As Bill's family and farm grew, so did his participation and leadership in agriculture organizations. Bill's path crossed early on with Reg Claus, the current chairman of the Global Farmer Network's board, and they became fast friends. Reg also served as a role model and mentor for Bill during his early years of his career. Little did they know at the time their paths would intertwine throughout the next several decades. From the Iowa Cattlemen's Association, a statewide grassroots association, to the very beginnings of the Global Farmer Network, and many more. It was because of leaders early on in Bill's career, like Reg Claus, that shaped Bill's dedication to leadership and advocacy.
As things went along, I got involved in the county cattlemen's industry, and then I got involved in the state part of it. And at that time, Reg was president of the Iowa Cattlemen's Association. And I remember walking into a meeting and giving a presentation, and Reg kind of looked at me and he goes, we've got something you'd like to do this year. And so I was chosen for Iowa's representative to go on the YCC trip, which is the Young National Cattlemen's Tour. It's a 10-day long trip across the United States, and we started in California with 28 other producers from different states. And that's probably what really kicked things off, to know how you could make a difference in the industry, and through leadership and being part of an industry, you can kind of help curb some of the challenges of policy, of things happening in the country and in the world, and make a difference and hopefully make the industry more sustainable. To be able to follow in Reg's shoes has been a true gift in life, and he's just shown such leadership, and known him for many years. And I think that's one thing we've learned as we've gone through our careers, is you can speak, but you always have to listen too, to make sure you understand the views of each side. After that trip, then I became involved in the leadership of the national. A lady took me under her wing and served on different policies on the national level, animal health, environmental policy. Went back to the state then and went through the chairs and chaired 2 or 3 different committees. And then, the ethanol industry kind of kicked in the early 2000s when it finally got started. And to be able to be part of an organization that, you grew a business out of a small community, when there's 3 or 4 of you sitting around a table thinking, we ought to build an ethanol plant and get a market for our corn.
In May of 2004, Bill's career took a vastly different turn. After recognizing their community needed something different, and the industry was poised to take advantage of this new ethanol market, Bill collaborated and co-founded a local ethanol plant with a group of other farmers and professionals in central Iowa with one goal: to build a processing plant that offered the community better options for their grain. In just 53 days, the community raised over $40 million for the plant. This wasn't just a project for farmers. It was a community movement, showing how when farmers collaborate across farm gates, real change takes root.
That's probably been one of the greatest satisfactions in my career, is to be able to work with 3 or 4 other gentlemen and put a board of directors together and raise seed capital and, raise $40 million in 53 days and build something that your community can prosper from, they can be invested in, and they can drive by. And, I think the greatest thing that happened there was we were able to put the fundraising together where anyone could participate. In fact, my son at the time was the youngest investor. And to be able to set up financing so that these people could be part of a local industry, and then to be able to bring that crop that you're producing. And then all of a sudden now you're crossing paths again, because along with ethanol, we've got distillers' grains.
The ethanol plant, Lincoln Way Energy LLC, created a circular model for the surrounding farms. Corn became ethanol, the byproducts fed cattle, and the economic impact stays local in their roads, schools, and jobs.
The biggest thing was to be able to keep those dollars in your local community, because now you're not railing that corn out and letting it being processed someplace. You're doing it in your own community. The dollars go to schools, roads, police protection, fire departments, and maintain good jobs on both sides of the livestock industry and the ethanol industry. And then to be part of a group to found an association, the Renewable Fuels, and bring this group of people together and have an association that can speak and help set policy. I truly go back to my cattle days and thank them for the education. It's probably the highest tuition I've ever paid in my life. It's not about money, it's just about the time. You have to be willing to say yes.
It was clear that Bill's vision for the ethanol plant wasn't just about corn. It was about community and creating a lasting impact beyond the farm. But big ideas come with big risks. And as Bill shares next, success in agriculture and leadership often comes down to knowing when to leap, when to listen, and when to lean on who you've surrounded yourself with.
I guess I haven't been one to sit on the fence. Through my career, I've learned how to fail gracefully because everything doesn't always work. And then putting that board together, it was very important that you just can't have all your buddies on this board. You have to make sure you've got the people that understands the vision that you want or want to attain. And I think that's what this small group decided was, how do we surround ourselves with people that understand the industry and make sure we don't stumble? I think that's part of the success of all these small ethanol plants in the state of Iowa was these gentlemen and ladies surrounded themselves with people that understood the industry and would make it successful as we go forward.
Bill's story is filled with bold moves and big ideas. But one of the most meaningful decisions came later in life when it was time to start letting go. After decades of leading from the front, Bill chose a different kind of leadership, stepping back, making space, and trusting the next generation, his sons and those around him, to carry things forward. Here's how that transition unfolded, and why it wasn't just about handing over the farm, but about handing over the future.
In our career, it just seemed like you had to get big or you had to get out. And so through that continual growth, we were very lucky. But I guess it's hard for a farmer to make that because it's a bittersweet pill. But I had sons that wanted to continue the operation. And believe me, I knew when I'd hit my head. I remember that last planter I bought. I was driving it in the field and Tim called me on the phone and he goes, "Dad, you're not watching your monitor. Row 34 is not singulating." And I just sat back and I go, what is he talking about? And then how does he know I'm doing this? Well, he's sitting in the pickup on his laptop watching all the planters run. At that point, I knew it was time for them to take it to the next level. I had truly succeeded in what I wanted to do. But I have to go back to Nancy. I'd been in the cattle industry for over 50 years, and it was time to give her some time. And she had supported me through this whole 50 years of progress and growth. In the last 4 or 5 years, done things I never thought I would do. I told my undertaker 10 years ago, I said, you better clinch those nails over on the coffin because I'm going to kick it open and I'm not ready. When I look at this next generation of young farmers, ranchers, men and women coming up in agriculture, they are so smart. And I tell you what, we have to trust them to bring this into the future. And let us old guys go out and make sure that we can help set policy so they can live with what they've got to do in the future. It's a challenge because, as we all know, a lot of people think their food comes from a grocery store. And how do we keep educating the public that we truly are in this country safe, secure? We have to make it affordable because we want to make sure that every mouth gets fed and everyone has a roof over their head. That's just the way we are.
As Bill's son Tim took over the cropping responsibilities and Bill passed over the livestock operation to another family, that did little to slow Bill down. He simply shifted gears. With more time and a lifetime of experience behind him, a new opportunity came calling. And it wasn't long before a familiar voice, Reg Claus, tapped him on the shoulder once again. This time the mission wasn't local, it was global.
We used to call him the silver-tongued devil. I tell you, that man can get up in front of a crowd and it just flows. And we were in Germany and Marcus was getting ready to speak and he was up talking about Marcus. And I thought, if I ever had the talent to just get up in front of a crowd and it just flows, you've succeeded. That is true success in your life from your mentor that he has gifted you that. So every time Reg is on stage, boy, I tell you what, I'm taking notes and watching how he does it. But what a joy to be able to follow Reg and Tim and Bill and all those guys that were there. They're just true leaders in the world today. And to be able to ask to be part of this group, I remember when they started this, it was called Truth About Trade. And I've been around it for years because Mary would always bring the laureates out during the World Food Prize. And Nancy and I always told Mary that this was the greatest group that every year that we entertained, to be able to sit around a table up in the conference room and host the different nations there and sit around and we talk about challenges and concerns with our food and our people and our weather. And it just seems like we all have the same challenges and concerns, and we can sit around the table, no matter what country you're from or what color your skin is. It's just a gift to be able to share those experiences, and hopefully you can help them through a challenge that they have in their country. I look at the friends that I have across the world today because of Reg and that group and Mary. Some of my closest friends live thousands and thousands of miles away, and it's nothing for them to pick up the phone and say, hey, can you come help me? And we have. What a great part of your life to be able to do that and go help someone. And the experiences that you share, and I just can't speak highly enough about what this group can do for people as long as they stay involved. You have to stay involved. It'd be a waste of time if you didn't say yes.
No matter where you're from, farmers tend to speak the same language. Those friendships and shared experiences are at the heart of what makes Global Farmer Network so special, but they're also a reflection of the kind of leader Bill is. And this year, his leadership is being recognized in a big way. Bill will be honored with the 2025 Kleckner Global Farm Leader Award, an annual recognition given to a farmer who shows exceptional vision, leadership, and resolve in advancing the rights of farmers around the world. Established to honor the late Global Farmer Network Chairman Emeritus Dean Kleckner, the award celebrates those who champion the tools and technology that helps farmers improve the quality, quantity, and availability of agricultural products globally. Bill will be the second American to receive this honor since the award began in 2007, a true testament to his influence both at home and across the world. Being named this year's Kleckner Award recipient is a powerful recognition of Bill's lifetime of leadership. And for Bill, the real honor is helping shape the next generation of farmers. It's not just about who's at the table today. It's about who's coming next.
To me, right now, that means so much is when I look at bringing new people onto this, and been on the selection committee here for 2 or 3 years, and when Mary sends you the applications, there's 218 applications to fill 15 slots. And I think the job we have to do is make sure that we maintain the integrity of Global Farmer Network and what those 5 individuals wanted it to be and what it could be in the future. You almost get white knuckles thinking, I have a job here to do to make sure that we succeed with the goals they had back then. I look at this year's group of people that came in, and you sort through and get 15 individuals from 218 applications, and the first stack you look at is the ones that you set aside. What am I giving up here in the people that we didn't select? You know that these are excellent candidates. I kind of made it a decision that I wanted to go to the educational part of it, which was just a few weeks ago in Costa Rica. I can come away from that meeting and meeting those new individuals. And I think Reg and the group will be very proud of the new candidates that we're bringing in. This is exactly what they set this up to be. I just want to make sure that we follow those guidelines and continue to bring in those candidates that will make this organization better in the future.
Bill has spent his career investing in others, helping shape the future of the Global Farmer Network, mentoring young leaders in agriculture, and building opportunities in his local community, exemplifying all of the characteristics of past Kleckner Award winners. But when it comes to what he's most proud of, it's not the policies, the feedlot, or even the ethanol plant. It's something much closer to home.
My family. I look at what they're doing, and they've taken on these initiatives too. A few years ago, Tim asked me, he says, why do you keep going to D.C.? And, I think he understood. But finally, then a few years ago, he started going out with Soybean Association. And all of a sudden, you kind of get it. I think what I've tried to send on to the boys is that if you're going to be successful, you have to give back and you have to pay forward. If you're going to have success, share that success with people. I think in a man's world today, it's great to have money and land and all this other stuff. But if you don't have a family, you've got nothing to give forward to the future. And so that's what I'm most proud of, to think that Nancy and I have raised a family that they're giving back now today. And they're very active. They're very busy. And it's just fun to see them shine. They're always willing to give back and help educate people in the future.
Leaders like Bill remind us that the heart of agriculture isn't just the land. It's in the people who are willing to lead, listen, and lift others up. From building a feedlot and co-founding an ethanol plant to shaping agricultural policies and mentoring young leaders, Bill's story is one of bold decisions and dedication. His legacy is more than a successful operation. It's a commitment to collaboration, family, and a global community of farmers working together for a better future. Over the past 25 years, the Global Farmer Network has connected voices like Bill's to others around the world, creating a platform for knowledge sharing, advocacy, and unity. As we look ahead to the next 25 years, it's leaders like Bill who continue to inspire what's possible when farmers collaborate together. It's clear that the past 25 years have created a lasting legacy of support, knowledge sharing, and unity within the Global Farmer Network. From the global roundtables that bring farmers together to the practical advice that transcends borders, the organization has made a profound impact, and we can't wait to see what the next 25 years will bring. If you're interested in learning more about the Global Farmer Network's mission and its members, seeing some of the things the organization is doing, and finding out how you can get involved, please visit globalfarmernetwork.org. And if you'd like to support the Global Farmer Network through a donation, you can do so at globalfarmernetwork.org/donate. If you enjoyed the podcast today, be sure to subscribe and follow the Global Farmer Network on social media: Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. Until next time, I'm Delaney Howell, and this has been the Global Farmer Voices podcast.